So this is, we talked about what a disclosure is in the previous one.
Welcome to, just in case.
Shall I lead?
Yes.
Okay. Welcome to another podcast of Finding Voices. I'm Tom Wheeler.
Alexander Kuzmenko.
Eugene Wasowski Gallagher.
Today we're going to be speaking about disclosure, or what's otherwise known as advertising or stammer, and we'll also have a few other topics discussed, though they're more subsidiary to the disclosure one.
So the purpose of the disclosure is to basically announce the elephant in the room so that it relaxes all parties involved, especially the speaker. It's not working, is it?
Let's keep recording like no microphone.
Oh yeah.
We're still rolling on the record, I guess. But what if we do it in the middle of the piece of equipment? This is distracting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I reckon
We keep rolling. Hell with it. It's okay. It is what it is.
right.
We'll just talk louder and we'll speak louder.
Over the sound of the birds.
So, what is a disclosure? It's when we tell people what is going on, why we behave like we behave in the moment of stuttering. Because really, most of the people will not know, like why your heads are shaking, why words are not come out. People might think you are in distress or you need help, but we don't. It's just what we do. We stutter. So one of and that called disclosure of saying I'm a person who stutter.
Yep.
Yeah, I just advertised my stuttering to everyone.
The experiences of it I have found personally have always been very positive. I can't really remember a time when it backfired, because normally it offers relief to your listener. They understand that you're just trying to hack through it, not doing a very good job, but they know there's nothing majorly wrong with you, that you're just normal, just struggling to speak a bit, which is
Yes.
And normally everyone rallies behind you and cheers you on.
A point I made earlier was that it's important to emphasise that your stammer is not an anomaly, because many people stammer, if not all people stammer at some point, but that you should really say that it is kind of like a fixed habit, not an anomaly, and be a lot more understanding for any future cases of stammering. What's the hardest disclosure that everyone's done? Or the worst, the most painful?
Worst one.
The most painful, because stammering is a very painful experience sometimes, and telling people can be like, in a way, it's like exposing your most deepest, darkest secrets to reveal to someone your inner psyche.
I think this one you
Weaknesses.
can split up by several categories. So you have the ones which you intended to tell them, and you're like, there's the easy ones. Then you can have the ones where everyone knew you were stammering, and you're like, right, the only way to get out of this is to just grab it by the balls and just tell everybody I have a stammer, and then it's much easier.
I think it really depends on the person you're talking to and their personality. Like, I found that it's so much easier to disclose to a person who might be considered like having a more accepting and tolerant personality than it is to, an arsehole or a dickhead. If you're disclosing to a dickhead, it's like you immediately fall in their books from. But then again, if you're already stammering, then nothing really changes. If anything, they have to like control themselves, which is obviously quite hard to do. They have to be like, oh shit, I need to stop mocking this guy or something. So I think it's That's why I think like a lot of stammerers tend to find themselves befriending and also working with lots of very accepting, tolerant people. Like my closest friends are universally very tolerant people. Who knows if I didn't stammer at all, I might have a different set of friends. Probably quite likely.
I think this brings us on nicely to the different styles of advertising your stammer, because you have, as mentioned earlier, the telling someone straight up, "Hi, I'm Eugene, I'm a stammer," very simple, to
Voila.
you have the ones where you don't want to tell them, but you do want to tell them at the same time.
Yes.
Where you won't literally tell them, but you will just
Suggest it.
or else speak in a way which makes it blatantly obvious.
yeah.
But you never admit it. You're
Never
like,
admit it.
yeah.
Please, stammer. No, I'm just speaking slowly.
Yeah. You just like feed it to them very comfortably. No stress from anyone, but just they know you don't speak fluently. You're cool with it. They're cool with it.
Alexander, you've got a different way of telling people about your speech, don't you?
I find out for myself recently that there are two types of disclosures. One welcomes everyone to make a conversation about it. So it's one type. And other type is when you close the door with your disclosure. So no negotiation is welcome. So let me give you an example. When I'm welcoming people to discuss my stutter, I can say, "Hi everyone, I'm Alexander Kuzmenko. I stutter and I'm working on my speech."
But that's unusual though, because I've never met anyone really who
So
advertises it.
that is our usual but kind of short way, which opens the door to conversation and to questions and to dialogue, monologue. Example number 2. When you disclose to close the door. So the way I do it, I say, "Hi everyone, my name is Alexander Kuzmenko. I stutter. Please don't mind that."
Which one then do you find works, or which one is best suited for which circumstances?
Yes.
Better question.
I would say 90% or maybe 95% of my disclosures are the one that shutting the door, like I stutter, please don't mind that, and then I can go straight to business, to work stuff, to a meeting, to charts and numbers, or in a Starbucks, I block on a cappuccino or something.
Yeah.
I say, "I stutter, please don't mind, I want cappuccino." Right? Sometimes people like, what you start? I say, "Speech impairment."
Yeah.
I rephrase it in other words right away. So you have two options to choose to understand.
Yeah.
If you don't understand both of them, third option is not coming to you. Right?
Yeah. I suppose the reason the close the door one works is because it avoids any opening for someone to give you pity.
Yeah.
Because after all, we don't want it. We're just saying, "I'm putting it out there.
Absolutely right.
It's there. I need to say this." And just if you
Or
wonder
else
why
I
I'm
will
having
faint.
trouble, here's the reason.
I will collapse of fear if I do not tell you what I have.
Yeah.
More like sweat from
But
being
actually,
shaken.
no, that fits. sometimes you actually feel a weight lift off your chest
Yeah.
as you tell someone you stutter, because suddenly it's like I can breathe. You don't have the kind of fear of the unknown. So it's very much a psychological thing that tricks you into like,
Yeah.
I can relax.
So Tom and I once did these interviews for the podcast, which it turned out we didn't have any of the recordings.
Oh, it was so depressing.
because we failed to record. But anyway, swiftly moving on from
Well, no,
that.
because there were like
We
some
had
bits
some
and
of them.
bobs.
Yeah, we had a few, but they were.
I think we had like.
Did you make any
actually.
disclosures on
Yeah,
those
Eugene, I'm
things?
pretty sure we got some of them. It's in
Yeah,
my
but
hard
just
drive
not as many as we
somewhere. But it's
wanted.
like we do a good
Interview.
So just to explain, we had about 3 hours or 4 hours where we could just walk round central London, mainly around Covent Garden, and ask people questions like, you know, what do you think of people who stammer? You know, just kind of stuff that's just kind of scientific. And most of the time, the microphone was either like not working or something. So I thought, oh my god. Then we thought it was working at some point, and it wouldn't be working at all. Eventually, we got like half an hour of recording from what should be a good juicy 5 hours.
I think because on each one of those we in essence made it fairly obvious we stammer as part of it, and it was really interesting to watch how open everyone became about it, because they were really curious about why we were the guys holding the microphones, going out to people, wanting to talk to them about stammering, the thing we should hold.
It was a role reversal. We were reversing.
Yeah, and the people we spoke to typically weren't used to having someone come up and interview them of any sort, least of all someone who was fairly obviously stammering. Just we were quite comfortable with it. And then I mean the best response we had was these two girls, I think, outside a pub. We just went up to them to ask them some questions, and then it turned out that
their father,
one of the father,
or the husband, but also the father,
had Parkinson's,
Parkinson's and multiple sclerosis, I don't know. Some kind of ailment, and so he had a stammer, but not of the same kind. Like his stammer was entirely something that wasn't triggered by anxiety or anything. It was triggered by the fact that his brain wasn't functioning.
And they wanted to know how best to handle it. So then we came along, obviously, had a chat, and then because we were the only people who they felt they could talk to about stammering, it meant they were very, very open with us telling them about how it feels to stammer, what best to do, and all the rest of it. So much like a disclosure, she obviously cared a lot about I think it was her dad, but she wasn't 100% sure how to deal with it. And us coming along and sort of allowing her to come to understand and come to terms with how it feels to be a stammerer.
Right.
From being like told.
I think in that guy's case,
for the purpose of the video, Tom has been rocking on his chair since this began, and it's finally fallen off.
I finally got my just desserts. I had it coming.
Well done, Tom.
I'm impressed you did it so quietly.
I was eyeing it up earlier. I was like, but I hit my head.
Impressive landing.
It's very slow.
Very gentle, and you didn't nudge the table either.
Thank God I moved the table from where it was standing before. Oh.
And he's still rocking on his chair.
I haven't.
Anyway, so in that guy's case, he should start with disclosing his Parkinson first.
Yeah.
Like, look, guys,
Yeah.
I have Parkinson,
Yeah.
and that stuff gave me stuttering, so I will stumble on every other word.
Mm.
But when he does this disclosure, he eliminates all other suspicions we have about the guy.
Mm.
Like, we would question his other um, sides of sanity.
Mm.
Is he crazy? Like,
Mm.
how far it went in his case?
Mm.
So when he does a disclosure, he eliminates all other questions as well.
True. It helps him more. It helps not only in the case of stammering, but it can be applied everywhere. This is good advice overall. Then.
Yeah, or in elevator, guy is standing and touching every button.
Yeah.
Mm.
So till that guy tells everyone, like, look, guys, I'm blind,
Yeah.
I'm reading.
Mm.
Yeah.
Half of elevator, even though they see all the elements of a blind person,
Mm.
still they will question it. So
Mm.
when he does it, like, I'm blind, yo,
Yeah.
Yo,
then-
man. I'm blind, man.
and then 100% is on board, and it becomes his comfort zone as well,
Yeah.
Mm.
as we know it.
You're basically, it's by informing someone they can understand. Otherwise, they're constantly questioning
Mm.
what's going on. They have
Mm.
something to understand. They can compute.
Weirdly, okay, I have an interesting story, well, mildly,
Wow.
on the blind man topic, because it's
Oh.
good. So, basically, I walked to work, there's a guy crossing a road, he's blind, he heard ambulances, cars and so on, so he didn't want to cross, so he was standing, shouting for help.
Yeah, man.
I had to get someone to come over to help him cross the road so he doesn't walk in front of a car. So I helped him along. The interesting thing is it made me realise how much of our communication is body language.
Yes.
Because he is the only person I speak to who couldn't see me stammering. So I was trying to say a word, I couldn't say it.
Yeah.
Normally on the phone, I'm just like, meh, it's fine.
Yeah.
Because you just make a noise and it'd be picked up with the microphone.
Yeah.
But in person, it's very difficult for a stammerer to talk to someone who's blind.
Yes.
It's quite weird.
Wait.
I only just
It's
realised
hard.
that.
Isn't it weird only until we advertise?
Yeah.
I mean,
So he told me he's blind, and I was
you
like,
should have
I have a
told him.
stammer.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah,
The blind leading the blind.
exactly.
Hold your, you should form like a
Exactly.
blind and stammering colony. A leper colony of the future.
So half the people can't see the danger, and the ones that can see the danger
Yeah.
can't tell the other half.
Well, my mum,
Wow, this is bad.
my mum in her youth
Mm,
was best friends with a girl who had very, very poor eyesight,
yeah,
and she had a stammer in her youth.
Yeah.
I think she kind of still does.
yeah.
It's not as bad, and they was literally just blind leading the blind because they would both be like, one could see but couldn't speak, and one could speak but couldn't see. It's almost like those three witches. Was it from Macbeth?
I don't know.
It's like we three witches, and like they all share one eye.
Yeah,
Is that from Macbeth?
I don't know.
Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Yeah. They've all got one eye, and
Mm.
and they're like reaching round for the eyeball. And we're like, my turn with the eyeball, that kind of stuff.
Mm. Yeah. It's an interesting one anyway.
Mm. I've actually spoken to a blind person, and I found because they are themselves quite disabled, I found it quite easy to speak to them.
They're all quite easy. Just the interesting thing was more the fact that as opposed to when you normally speak to someone, you have a feeling of judgment. Like, I could feel myself struggling, but I couldn't feel any judgment. I was like, this is really weird. Because I was so used to having someone like look at me funny or whatever.
Yeah.
He obviously couldn't see me that well, so
Are you sure?
so
It was like,
it made me realise 90% of the judgment actually within me, which is another discovery. I was like,
again, it's the
so-
whole iceberg thing, which the Maguire program likes to toot, is that a stammer is like an iceberg. 90% of it is invisible to the human eye. 10% of it is visible.
Just mean recommended thing for doing any disclosure. Help out people cross the road, because you'll learn a surprising amount about yourself in about a minute.
Yeah.
And you do a good deed for the day, so it can't be bad.
Question.
Yeah.
How do we treat our disclosure? Do we treat it as an excuse that now we have excuse to do this, that, and that, or do we treat it as promoting a truth about ourselves?
Truth. I think it's
I think truth.
A truth.
Yeah.
I think yes.
Yeah.
I think it can never be excuse. We have nothing to apologize for.
Yep.
Stuttering is not that we chose it, right? But we choose to treat maybe other people with respect by telling them what's going on. So it's like, each time I say I stutter, it's like a weight lifts off. Like, phew, now I can do whatever I want.
One important thing though is obviously to tell someone you stammer, you have to speak, right?
Oh.
So wait.
There's the catch.
This means it's a catch-22.
Yeah.
You can't speak, but you have to tell them through words.
Yeah.
Does that happen?
No.
And you can say it just by stammering. Just be like, st. Like, what is it?
You should break dancing.
Yeah. Or to interpretive dance, it's like I stammer.
Well, you see, now we have excuse to do those kind of jokes because we're people who stutter. No one else can do it, right? Like, only us. But
There are some benefits to having a stammer. Few.
Yeah, well,
but,
but no. Okay, seriously though.
But our excuse is not about what we do on a normal basis. No. On normal basis, we just stutter.
Yeah. But so, if you're having a bad speech day and you really have to go and talk to someone, but you don't want to explain that you have a stammer.
Why you have to now?
Well, but if it's a bad speech day, you're gonna find it next to impossible to say anything.
Nah, well.
So, like, okay, these are the cases where it's a bad day, you're rushed off your feet, didn't have any chance to do any practice which you should have done, might have done, would like to have done, but you still have to get on with it. So what, like, in general, what's everyone's best take on best approaches?
I got it, but my take on what you said like if.
Yeah.
So if
worst
we
comes to
put
worst.
in if into a disclosure, we have to talk about avoidance, and avoidance is a whole new subject, different. I mean, it's close, but if we eliminate that if, we disclose in every situation.
Yep.
So and then we pick like each disclosure for each situation. So question is, when we disclose, do we disclose all the time or not? But answering to your question fast. It's avoidance. If you telling yourself, oh, I have reasons now. I'm tired. I'm this. I'm this. I'm not doing disclosure. No, you're just in denial about your avoidance. That's my take on that. Yeah.
Yo.
Still doesn't answer how you would do your disclosure.
Oh, I
or-
would do it short,
So-
angry way. I start.
Angry.
Short angry.
Yeah. Hey
Okay.
guys, I'm Alex. I started.
Fair enough.
I'm stupid.
Yeah, 'cause I was just curious for
Yeah,
like if it should be every time.
every time.
If you're gonna have trouble speaking normally, do you do it a relaxed way? Do you like how would you get the words out?
There's a page, or maybe it's a friend I have on Facebook, who he's called himself Stuttering Jack,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure what his full name is, but I think that's a great way of advertising your speech, is to basically name yourself. Hey,
Yeah.
I'm Stuttering Tom, or
Yeah.
I'm Stammering Alexander, or I'm Stuttering Eugene. You know?
Yeah.
That way it's kind of like becomes you, and people are like, oh, it's so and so who stutters. Maybe that's quite, but again, that seems quite old-fashioned. It seems like it's been from the 30s, where it's like, oh, it's retarded Jim. You know, it's kind of like, okay,
Yeah.
on PC. But
It's actually another amazing form to advertise your start. I had a friend in America, and he was severe stutterer, block on everything like a sport,
yeah,
you know, like big time.
Sport.
Yeah. So each time cops would stop him, he couldn't say a word. So
Yeah.
each time they would check his blood, his for everything, because he can't speak. So what he did, he put a sticker on the cars, like
Yeah.
I stutter, I can't talk,
yes,
like wait for me, I'm not drunk, you know,
Yes.
like
Yeah.
that kind, all over his cars. So each time police officer approaches him, he already knows, like, guy is normal. He just halfway mute,
yeah,
halfway vocalized.
yeah. I
That's
think
it.
it's interesting. I've been thinking, what is the potential of being a stammerer and a criminal? Because I'm thinking maybe there's an avenue which like stammerers could go down, or maybe just current people in crime, and they could adopt a stammer, and then people are like being sympathetic towards them.
Nah, I think
it's a very powerful thing sometimes having a stammer.
I think the power from having a stammer though comes from the fact you spend so long unable to speak.
I'm just thinking, like, maybe if you stammer, people won't take you seriously, and you can like rob a bank if you're stammering, and, like, they'll be so confused as to what's going on. They'll be like, what the fuck is happening? Like, why is this stammering guy, how has he got the confidence to rob a bank? He'll be like, "Buh, buh, 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 buh." And it's like, what do you want from us? Like, give me the money. And they're like, I'm not sure, should I take him seriously? Or...
And they made a movie about it.
A Fish Called Wanda.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the movie.
There you go. So that question is 100% answered in this movie.
I haven't seen the movie, so until I see it,
In
I
a
cannot
horrible
promise
way.
anything.
In a
Oh,
horrible
really?
way.
Yeah.
All well, I know many people who started. They hate this movie. They
Really?
When I saw it first time, it was kind of painful in a way. But then, like, when you see it like so many times, and I kind of like a guy, so he's a cool
I saw him speak actually. The man who plays the stammerer, what's his name again?
He's from
Monty Python.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway.
Michael
Anyway,
Palin, is it?
we
Michael
compare-
He
Palin,
actually
Michael-
genuinely has a stammer.
No, well, his...
Really?
No,
Yeah.
no.
Respect to him.
Yeah.
His father has a stammer.
He-
Michael Palin's got a very, very minor stammer.
Yeah, but
Not
he,
noticeable at all. It's one of these, like,
he-
celebrity stammers.
he's an actor as well,
You
so
know?
he obviously portrayed
Yeah.
something else than
He
his
has-
actual stammer,
he
because
has-
otherwise stammering like a
He
beast.
has what I like to call a celebrity
Yeah, fair
stammer.
enough.
I have stammered once or twice in the past year, therefore I will become part of British Stammering
Yeah.
Association. Obviously, it's got nothing on stammering, but it's kind of like it's enough to give them advertising. I think. I welcome them being part of the stammering community,
But
but I'm not fully convinced they have
He-
proper stammering.
um,
Stammering will actually inhibit your life. I don't think
Yeah.
so today.
he did start the Michael Palin School of Stammering, though.
Did.
So,
He
like,
did, okay.
if you want someone who contributed a lot, there's your man
Okay,
right there.
I shall
Who
not
you're
kick,
trying to.
I shall not kick Michael Palin next time.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
I was just, I was just offended by your comments about Michael
apologise.
Palin.
I apologise. Also,
Speaking of families, father start, son goes. Do you have the news for that?
Mm.
We can move to news.
I hate to say it, but it's now called.
Give us 5 minutes, dude.
Okay, 5 minutes.
So, our news. Yeah.
We sports.
Uh,
We turn a soundtrack.
News is brought to you by NIH.gov, which is National Institute of Health,
Yeah.
and Wednesday, February 10, 2010. Researchers discover first genes on stuttering. Findings suggest common speech problem in some cases may actually be an inherited metabolic disorder.
Metabolic.
That's messed up.
So does that imply it's to do with how you process energy?
Metabolic is a how your particular genes recycle your chemicals, your biochemicals like fats and stuff, or like all this food. So yeah, and that part we get from genes. Like my father has these health issues. Most likely I'll have it. So and now they did research and they proved basically that it's a gene. And what they did in this article, they described how they located this genome number 12, chromosome number 12. And they did a study in Pakistan on almost 200 people to see how it passed. I don't know what they did, but
What the fuck?
yeah,
I don't know what they did,
Fucked
but
up shit,
either
man.
yeah. So no.
either way, it
So
led to this.
right, so that was the news, and and what this article tells us, like really, is that it's not our fault that we stutter. Eugene, it's not your fault that you stutter. You think it's you, but it's not you.
My parents.
It's just it's your father's fault. Yeah, like Alex, me, I all my life I kept telling to myself it's my fault. I am wrong. Like what the hell is wrong with me? Like why everyone okay? Like what have I done to get to this?
Yeah.
Right?
In a former life,
Yeah.
was I like a murderer or something?
Now I know it's not my fault.
One a lead-on question for the next episode is so to describe how you first realised you had a stammer. Because I know in my case it was like before I started speaking I think I'm going to have trouble to say this word, and I was like, well, I believe that was normal, that everyone has trouble saying words. It's only when my parents started pointing out I had a stammer that it actually clocked that maybe this wasn't so normal after all. Because I was like, huh?
Yeah.
What the hell? I thought, because I honestly couldn't understand how everyone could just speak. I was like,
Yeah.
you people are nuts.
But then again, have you been through periods where you've had fluent speech, even if it's like a day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And then suddenly you can't understand how people who stammer.
yeah.
And it's like, how the fuck do you stammer? And it's something where it's just like, there is no way of someone saying, you stammer because you have this anxiety or something. And it's because of this thing and that. It's like, literally, it's just like, it is just biochemical. It's like,
Exactly.
that's like saying to someone, this is the feeling when you're on like heroin or something. It's like, you cannot fathom it.
Yeah.
Well, but I mean, like, there are ways of kind of telling someone it's like, as in kind of the kind of feeling, but there's no way of kind of describing the actual sensation of everyone. So it's very much like you've got no understanding whatsoever of how normal speech works, and it's not good. But then again,
Yep.
Yeah. So if you stutter, it's not your fault, and you know, maybe other things can become your fault in a way, like how you deal with it. Oh, that's your fault.
That bullshit is definitely your fault.
Well,
I'm gonna have to call it.
halfway. I mean, we can't judge people how they deal with it, really, in a way,
Yep.
because like every approach can be actually the right approach at the end.
Correct. Yep.
It took me like 30 years to get like somewhere.
As the old saying is, you can't judge someone else's decisions unless you've walked in their shoes.
yes,
Yeah.
And because you don't know if those choices were the only ones they had between bad and really bad, and they just
true,
picked
man.
the bad one because it's the better of the two. But they didn't have that greater choice to begin with, so they're like, just try not to screw up too badly. I think
Okay.
we're going to call it quits for today.
Okay, thank you very much for listening or watching. I hope you were watching so you could see my fall.
Yeah, and
And we'll see you another time.
indeed.
Um,
I'm Eugene Wisowski Gallagher.
Alex is here.
Tom Wheeler.
Yeah, Finding Voices podcast. Bye for now.
Goodbye.